Jared Vieira has had a deep impact on the lives around him. In what would be considered a small town in Southern California, he has had tremendous reach. More than 50% of those who attend the church he pastors consistently volunteer in the church or in the community. Over the years, he has helped raise an extraordinarily high percentage of leaders in both ministry and in business. He has the ability to see potential and is always inviting people to take the challenge of growing and being shaped into who God has designed them to be.
You're a leader, called to inspire others to be the same. You're called to experience the fullness of God's promises. You boldly face your fears. You chart your own path when you need to. When life knocks you down, you get back up one more time, every time. You're forever learning, increasing your capacity to be the best you. You're strong, resilient. You're not easily discouraged, and you're never defeated. You're rugged on the inside, but on the outside, you're identified as loving, gracious, consistent. You don't quit. This is your life, your portion. You're a leader, forged in the fire.
All right. Well, hey, everybody. My name is Jared Vieira. I am the host and the founder of the Blacksmith Order. And ultimately, this is just a video blog that is focused on helping you learn, love, and lead. We are hoping to help give you the tools to increase your capacity to lead people, whether that is in the local church, in your business, in your family, in your community, whatever it is. We want to see leaders flourish and grow and be more effective. And before we get into today's topic, I want to talk to you about things to come. Next week, we have our first guest ever on the Blacksmith Order. And so we're going to have James Tapp Jr. in here, one of the founders of Tapp Fitness, is going to be joining us and talking about his transition through education and career and finally landing as a gym owner and entrepreneur. And really, if you follow him on social media, just an absolute fitness expert. The guy's like a guru. And so I want to make sure you hit subscribe down there and follow us next week for that. I think it's going to be a great discussion. And so let's just jump right into it. Today, we're going to talk about disagreement. And really, hopefully, my intent is to give you a few tools to help you navigate through disagreements, because we all are going to have them. We all have those moments where we don't see eye to eye with people, and we have things that come about where there are mistakes, there are missteps, there are miscommunications, and there's plenty of opportunity for disagreement, whether that is in the industry in which you work in even like the local church. Sometimes there is sometimes theological disagreements and things that we just don't see eye to eye on or understand yet. There is disagreement on social media. It can just become a train wreck really quick. And so I want to give you tools on how to disagree and some things, some rules and some things to live by and think about while we're trying to navigate through disagreement. And the first thing is we need to understand that disagreement works best in real relationship. Now, notice I said real relationship. I'm not talking about, we're friends on Facebook. And, we have, I see this all the time, and I have to fight the temptation. People I know on Facebook that are friends, just because they clicked the follow button or I clicked the follow button from their page. But, they say things and express opinions that I don't agree with, and man, it's tempting just to, waste a bunch of time and get on there and enter into just the banter and divisive talk and disagreements, and I just don't. One of the first things I ask myself is, do I have a relationship with this person? Like, do I have a real relationship with? Do I know? Do I trust them? Do I genuinely care for this person's well-being? And I like to think that I do that for most people, but do they know that I have their best interest in mind, that I genuinely care for them? And so one of the first filters I run those opportunities through is, do I have a real relationship with them? And if not, then I just don't take the bait, and I just don't jump into that and waste my time and energy and kind of, let the mudslinging begin. I just don't go there. If I don't have a genuine, real relationship with them, chances are I'm not going to win them over. They're not going to win me over. We're just going to banter back and forth. And so, I've had plenty of moments where I have misstepped and I've said things that maybe in not a great tone, and I've said things that or sometimes even polar opposite opinions of some people. And one of the things that has helped protect things is the fact that we have a relationship. And so I can misstep. Sometimes I can say things out of emotion or frustration or whatever, and I try to control myself. But you know what? We all mess up. We're all human. We all say things sometimes when we don't mean it, or how we don't communicate as well as we would like to. And that's the great thing about having a real relationship with people is people can go, nah, like, I know them. And I know what they mean, and I know who they really are, and I'm not going to let things get twisted. And so, again, just think about first, before you jump into, muddy waters with somebody, do I have a real relationship? Because if you don't, it's going to feel like an attack. People are going to question your motivation, that they don't know your life experience, and without real relationship, it's tough to gauge all of those things. Like where are they coming from? What do they really mean? Who are they? Do they even care? And so, relationship should be number one. The next thing that I want to help you avoid is avoid the caricature, right? Have you ever been to that amusement park, or had that artist draw that little picture of you, right? And it's oftentimes like this little bitty body and then this big old head, and it's this fun looking cartoon. But what's happening is they are exaggerating a certain part of you, right? And that happens when we get to a point in disagreement a lot of times, and we see it especially politically right now, right? And when people get to a point where they absolutely disagree with one another, there doesn't seem to be any ground gain, that no one's winning over hearts and minds and certain stuff, they immediately shift over to attack and caricaturize people, that you exaggerate their character, you make you jump to conclusions, you become very critical about a certain part of them or who you believe them to be, and you paint this picture of folks, and it's really harmful. It doesn't help build relationship. It really it's hurtful. And when you start attacking people's character instead of trying to communicate better, it's getting you nowhere. It's going to get you nowhere on social media. It's going to get you nowhere in your marriage. It's going to get you nowhere if you're a business owner, right? And you start attacking people instead of addressing the problem. And so avoid the caricature of people. We can... again, we see this big time politically right now. If somebody has, left views, they're, automatically they're communists and socialists. And in some cases that's true, but we can't lump everybody into that, and it maybe if you have, right now politically you have, sort of right-leaning belief systems or opinions, that all of a sudden you're a Nazi, you're a racist, right? And we see these things being played out right now in our culture daily. And so when you disagree, avoid the caricature. There's no reason to attack someone's character because you don't agree with them, right? This is really the essence of the 9th commandment, right? Don't bear false witness against your neighbor, right? Don't lie about your neighbor. And sometimes because we don't get our way, we don't win. And if you have a genuine relationship with someone, you understand that it's not about winning. It's about protecting the relationship. It's about having a healthy relationship and a healthy discussion. But when we're void of that, man, it becomes about winning, and we begin to attack people and break people down. And and I'm not saying just because you disagree with somebody that now you got to build this friendship and relationship, and so that you can make an argument. But hey, if you really have such a strong opinion, what's it going to hurt? Like if you're really that passionate about what you believe and you want to win this person over, then what's the harm in building a relationship? What's the harm in getting to know this person from a different walk of life or a different opinion than you? And so, but in most cases, you're not always going to have an opportunity to have some deep relationship with everyone you disagree with. Again, like I just don't go there with everyone. But if I have a relationship and the disagreement I think is harmful, then yeah, if I genuinely care for this person, then we're going to have a discussion. I'm going to take the time to clearly communicate and try to win this person over. But if it's just ridiculous, stupid stuff that you're not going to win them and it doesn't really matter, then why get into mudslinging in character attacks and all that kind of stuff? It really just making you look bad. And for me, when I'm on the receiving end of that and people are mischaracterizing me or caricaturing me and really it's just like they just absolutely disagree and want to criticize and critique everything, and instead of fact finding, getting to know, really hearing and things out, I almost like dismiss it. I don't put a lot of weight in that kind of criticism. I don't give a lot of attention to it. It is what it is. We're not going to see eye to eye. If you want to turn to personal attacks, then that's it. I'm done. I'm going to check out. And but the next point I want to make is listen until it hurts, and then repeat. Right? Listen until it hurts. Now, granted, when you disagree, it's hopefully it's not actually painful, but what I'm talking about is almost like when you've been underwater a little too long. Like, have you ever been, maybe when you were younger, you're swimming and you dive down into the deep end to retrieve something, right? I remember our friends, we would all throw stuff into the deep end and we'd see who can go get it and reach it and how quickly you can do it. And you dive down, you get what you're after, and then you begin to head back towards the surface and you realize, oh geez, I've been down here a little too long, right? I've used up all of my oxygen seemingly, and kind of that panic mode sets in, and you start to rush a little bit. You start to paddle a little quicker. Your feet are kicking, and you're just waiting to break the surface. Listen until that point. Because our first instinct is to form our argument, to respond, to pick apart, to see weak spots, right? Somebody's trying to express themselves, and you immediately, because sometimes we forget our points, right? Where chances are we're in everyday life, we're not taking notes on things that we disagree with. We want to respond immediately. We want to cut people off. Hold on right now, and we want to attack what they just said. But really, one of the most beneficial things you can do in a disagreement is listen. Listen until it hurts. Because when you are immediately wanting to jump in and cut them off and correct them and kind of shoot down their argument or whatever it is, you're really devaluing them. But see, when you listen until it hurts and then you repeat back to them, that repeat back to them, I think, is important, because it gives us another chance to clear up any missteps, to clear up maybe some muddy water. And what you're doing when you repeat, you're not repeating your opinion. What you're doing is you're repeating what you heard, and you're restating their opinion. So it sounds a little bit like this. So help me understand. What I heard you say is blank. Right? And by doing this, you're doing a couple of things. If you're hearing one, you're going to be hearing through the mischaracterizations. You're going to be fighting that temptation to attack them personally. Oh, that's stupid. You're foolish. You're lazy. You're dumb. You're this. You're a Nazi. You're a racist. You're all the phobias that are going on and being thrown around in our culture. And we skip past the missteps, and you go, well, hold on. What I'm hearing you say is you think this. And it gives them a chance. If you heard them wrong, if you heard them through those mischaracterizations, it allows them to go, no, that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is, and you give them a chance to clarify. You give them a chance to kind of reform things a little bit. And no, I'm sorry if it came out that way, or if I sounded as if. And here's what I mean. and you give them a chance to clarify things. By listening to someone until it hurts and then repeating it, what you're doing is you're valuing them. You're valuing their opinion, you're listening to them, and you're doing something that I think we need a little bit more of in today's culture. You are showing them respect. You're respecting them. You may not agree with their point of view, but you respect them. And when you respect them, 9 times out of 10, they're going to respect you. They're going to stop and they're going to listen to your point of view. Because why? Because you made room for me to talk. Now I'm going to make room for you to talk. Now, granted, you're going to find, somebody somewhere that doesn't care about your opinion, doesn't want to hear that, they're so deeply ingrained in their belief system and they're right and they're always right. You'll find a jerk every once in a while. But if you have a real relationship with them, you've already avoided attacking their character and you're listening to them, chances are they're going to listen to you. And this is all about protecting relationship. This is all about strengthening a relationship and your credibility, and not just winning an argument in a moment of disagreement. And so these are tactics, if you will, that are going to help strengthen those things when we get to moments where we don't see eye to eye. But when we don't do this, when you don't listen till it hurts and then repeat their opinion, you're cutting people off, you're dismissing them, you don't want to listen, you don't care what they have to say, you only care about forming your argument and your opinion and winning. And again, this is one of those areas where if this is the kind of conversation we're having, that they're interrupting me, they're cutting me out, they're dismissing. Like some people even have the nonverbal stuff, right? You're having a conversation, you're disagreeing, and people are rolling their eyes and shaking their head and doing that kind of stuff, right? It's disrespectful. And if I'm in that kind of disagreement, I just shut it down. There's no point. They're not hearing me. They're already forming their opinion. They don't care. And they might even be right. But because of their inability to listen, their inability to really navigate through and find what my motivation is, what my experience is, what my point of view is, then I really, when we get to the critical part of that and the criticizing and all that stuff, I just totally dismiss it. So avoid the characterization of the exaggeration of people. Listen and repeat. There's no reason for you to go on online and slam people and slander people and critique them and criticize them and call them names. If there's no relationship, or if you want to build a relationship, that stuff's going to get you nowhere. And lastly, disagreement is not betrayal. Right, just because we don't see eye to eye in something, and granted, I'm not talking about the extreme stuff hey, I think we should get a divorce, or hey, I think we should have an open marriage. Some of that stuff, yeah, that's betrayal. But a lot of the things that we see today, we see on social media, we see in our culture today, these things that people are just absolutely going crazy over and cause us to treat people poorly, to really damage relationships, to damage our reputation, to slander people online. And when we see how they feel and the opinions they have, it's not betrayal. It's not about us. Right? It's they have a point of view based on their life experience or lack thereof, and maybe their passions and things that are dear to them. And they have maybe a different value system than we do. That's okay. We can disagree. But I don't have to see it as betrayal. I've been in leadership roles in a variety of different type of settings, and people make decisions, and I don't always agree with them. And I'll usually, if I have a relationship with them, I'll make that known. Hey, I don't agree with, the choices you're making right now, and here's why. And sometimes we can arrive at some sort of agreement that we can see eye to eye, and we can navigate through that and protect a relationship. But if we disagree, I don't cut people off. It's not a betrayal. It's not, oh my goodness, why did they do this to me? I've had people that have maybe worked with us and served with us, and they arrive at a transition, and or make a decision, whether it's for family or it's for finance or for advancement, promotion, whatever. Like, who am I to hold somebody back from a promotion? I may not agree with it. I might not be in love with the idea. And if we're honest, some of those things are out of really selfish desire, right? Like, I'm not here. I don't own people. Like, sure, I wish you would be with us longer. Sure, I wish you would partner with us. But who am I to say that this isn't right for you, that this isn't a great move for you? And I'm not going to treat your aspirations and your direction as a betrayal. And I may not agree with timing. I may not agree with how it's going. I may not agree with how you arrived at the decision. And we may have that real forthright conversation, but we don't have to get to a point where, okay, they made a decision I don't agree with, they betrayed me. Right? And we see this all the time. Man, I've seen this wreck marriages. I've seen it just destroy people's relationships within local churches and really discredit people when you treat people over and over and over again like they've betrayed you just because you don't see eye to eye. Not too many people want to spend a lot of time around those kind of folks. And, it reminds me, there's a young couple that we know that's close to us that they were in a leadership role and shared kind of some hopes and dreams and some aspirations, and they felt that we were being led in a certain direction, and their leadership at that time didn't necessarily agree with maybe how it was communicated or how it came about or the process. It just didn't fit their past experience, and so they didn't agree with how it was being played out, and they were treated as if they were betraying the whole group. And that's not fair. It's not healthy. It's unhealthy. The people aren't here to serve us. We're ultimately here to serve people and to see people move forward, to see people grow. That's what the blacksmith order is all about, is to see other people, other leaders become everything that God's called them to be, instead of like, hey, let's just be like Jared and let's do what Jared's doing. No, how about you go find out what you're good at and go do it and be the best. And but when we treat people that make decisions and do certain things that we don't line up with, we don't have to cut them off. We don't have to treat them as if they've betrayed us and this is a fatal blow to our relationship. And how could you do this to us? It's not healthy. It's not healthy at all. And so I hope that 2019 is I would say that it's a year that you avoid disagreement, but that's not real. My hopes for your year would be one that, man, you work towards building real relationship with people, that you have honest conversations with people that you love and that you avoid the pitfall of ridiculous, pointless conversations with people that you really genuinely don't know and they don't know you, that you avoid the caricature of people, right? Just because you disagree with them, you don't need to attack their character. You don't need to make harmful statements and extreme statements about them. That you learn to listen until it hurts and repeat their opinion. Why? So that you both understand, so that you can both navigate through a challenging moment in your relationship. And listen, if you still disagree, don't treat it as a betrayal. Build healthy relationships, be a healthy communicator, and grow in your area of influence. Well, my name is Jared Vieira. This has been the Blacksmith Order. If this stuff is helpful to you, if this is beneficial to you, I'm going to ask again, you hit subscribe down there on the feed and copy and paste this stuff. Feel free to share it on social media. Hope it benefits you and those around.